OnyxFest 2020 is made possible through the support of Margot L. Eccles Arts and Culture Fund, a Central Indiana Community Foundation Fund, Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, and Morgan Stanley.
Listen up, listen up. Make sure we're looking straight out, still face. Let's look straight out, still face. Remember, we're standing on those front lines together in unity.
OnyxFest.
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 A playwriting festival for Black playwrights.
Wherever there are people, there are beliefs and feelings and ideas that want to get out in the open.
The plays are very different in that they're raw and they're confronting and they say it the way it should be said.
Sexual orientation, economic status, or religious views are too different from that of the masses.
OnyxFest had significance in terms of providing a stage for Black playwrights.
Along came a pandemic.
A racial reckoning coming in from another direction.
When we started planning for this year, we had no idea the turn that things would take.
Do we keep going? Do we fight the elements? Do we take the risks?
All of these things came together at the same time.
It was a daunting task from the beginning. And then when these elements came into play, it took a whole different level of significance.
We decided, let's do it anyway.
The whole direction of everyone involved was modified by the circumstances, both in terms of social justice and in terms of the pandemic.
OnyxFest was held outside and we were able to keep the 6-foot social distance.
Do rehearsals at the District Theatre main stage.
We're meeting by Zoom. We're talking about 6 plays, 40 people.
That voice following all of the Black Lives Matter issues of the summer. That voice of OnyxFest allowed those issues to be amplified.
Festivals like OnyxFest give playwrights, specifically African Americans who are a small percentage of folks who get their plays on stage, an opportunity to not only see their shows produced, but they get to workshop them, work with some phenomenal actors, so they actually get a crash course in self-producing, not just in seeing their show up on stage.
There are 6 plays. 3 of them deal directly with issues of social justice.
June 6th, Rayshard Brooks. June 12th.
With all of the things coming together at the same time, it worked out really well. We couldn't have planned it that way.
And as those stories were told, I Feed You Defiance and Being Black, I think we learned an incredible amount about what it must be like to be Black in America.
The play is about women, African American mothers giving lessons to their Black and brown sons, lessons of survival, of how to make it through each day in America.
It really just takes its audience into the experience, the Black experience, in an authentic way.
We found that in several of the plays, many of the playwrights commented on what is going on now with regard to race relations.
Often that's difficult for audiences, but we love it.
Live theater is as essential to a civilization as education, health, food.
It's all the more important for us to have an avenue to express outrage, delight in some cases, and to express our desires to continue movement in a positive direction.
Broadway is dark until December 31st this year at least. Nobody's doing anything, and you guys came together and produced 6 plays.
OnyxFest is probably the furthest advanced because we've had a season and we've had persons to come and they have said they enjoy the productions and will come again.
I think we sold out just about every show.
It's really an amazing testament because we've been so desperate for human contact. We've been so pulled apart that coming together feels altogether better than it probably ever has.
Being Black, it really just takes its audience into the Black experience. The first thing I wanted my cast to do is to really make a connection with the script, a personal connection. the depth of what we experience being a black person, the constant barcade of systematic racism, I think sometimes it's taken lightly. As an artist myself and as a black man, I'm always trying to live in a certain way and inspire people in a certain way. So it was a big challenge with the Zoom meetings and the phone calls, and OnyxFest is fantastic. It's always been very powerful productions that has came out of it. What I wanted to make sure was that we're making an impact. And it was a challenge, but we did it for sure.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. We talk about the cycle of poverty, but it sometimes seems like the more we struggle, the wider the gap grows. We know there are exceptions to the rule. Oprah, Jay-Z, a handful of African American entrepreneurs and corporate giants, a smattering of elected officials. But for the most part, the system is the hunter, and black folks are the prey.
A minuscule percentage of black Americans escape the cycle of poverty. But the devastating truth, documented by social scientists, is that 80% of black folks today are destined to continue that pattern of generational poverty. It is time to dissect and better understand the dynamics of poverty and the only viable, genuine routes of escape. The Bible says, people perish for a lack of knowledge. It's time to learn, y'all.
Check it out. Quote, "The opposite of poverty is not wealth. The opposite of poverty is justice," end quote. That comes from Brian Stevenson, the death row lawyer and advocate for criminal justice reform.
The opposite of poverty is justice is one of Stevenson's most memorable lines. It's a bit bewildering at first, but that's a part of its power. It confronts a mistaken assumption that the opposite of poverty is wealth and points to a higher truth.
Poverty isn't just the simple absence of cash. Poverty is the social condition of being disfavored. Since poverty tends to be geographically concentrated, it has less to do with who you are than where you live. Impoverished communities lack access and even hope of access to proper education, safe and sound homes, decent jobs, reasonable health care. Most neighborhoods in America today can assume such access, but people in impoverished communities do without. And that has enormous consequences for their opportunities in life.
It is not just a fair hearing in court. Justice is the ongoing effort to ensure that all citizens have good opportunities. It is a social commitment to equality. The very thing that the Declaration of Independence suggests is the impetus of the American project. The radical claim that we are all created equal and have the right to pursue a good and full life is our country's North Star. Justice is the most important measurement of how well we are doing as a country.
Justice is the opposite of poverty because widespread poverty can only happen in the absence of justice. When we permit large swaths of American cities and urban areas to languish year after year, decade after decade, without quality education, safe and sound homes, decent jobs, and so on, we are failing to do justice. We are failing to uphold our nation's highest ideals. And they try to act like we should be tried for treason because we feel some kind of way about standing up for a national anthem which has a third verse that glorifies slavery, or a pledge that lies in your face about justice for all.
At some point, America has got to own up to its own history. Justice requires us to ask, how did things get to be the way that they are? An assortment of distressed neighborhoods and thriving neighborhoods do not happen by accident. There is a reason the government calls overcrowded public housing units projects. Just another experiment with blacks as the guinea pigs. The social and economic stratification of America is the root of injustice. Let me put it to you plain. This government programs black folks for failure. Period.
Think about it. At my fingertips is the soundtrack to your lives, baby. Music is the bloodline of soul that courses through the vein of every black man, woman, and child. You find your swag in the beat, gain your courage in the rhythm, find the right words in the lyrics. I'm telling you, you take away music, black people suffocate. It's like that escape route into that sweet spot when you're trying to get away. Music is black. If it wasn't for our musical genius, you wouldn't have no jazz, no gospel, no blues, no soul, no hip hop, no rock, no swing, no ragtime, no disco, no funk, no folk, no pop. Man, that don't leave nothing but country and the minuet. Y'all try listening to that on a cross-country road trip. Y'all know Dr. Rock would never tell you wrong, baby. Dig it. For we people who are darker than blue, music is the heart of our truth, baby. Oh, yeah. Coltrane taught us love supreme. Miles showed us love for sale. With everything that was going on, Sassma reassured us it's a wonderful life. Billy taught us God bless the child. Sam prophesied that a change is going to come. Curtis Mayfield reminded us that we're a winner, baby. To get us home, Duke put us on the A train. Nina Simone cried for us all with, I wish I knew what it was like to be free. Marvin cried all our pain with, made me want to holler, throw up both my hands. Cause like Stevie said, we tired of living just enough for the city. Y'all know I can go one, but y'all get it? Without Dr. Rock, you wouldn't be able to touch this treasure trove of sounds. Without me, you wouldn't even know the magic within you exists. Can a brother get some love? When I say doctor, you say rock. Doctor, doctor, doctor. That's why they call us soul brothers and soul sisters. We don't just listen to music. We play the soundtracks of our lives, baby. Well, the clock on the wall says that's all, y'all. So I gotta pack up my stack of wax and make tracks. If the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, tune in for the same smooth sounds tomorrow at 5. Tell a friend and dive in. The music's fine. It's air conditioned.
Let me be the first to welcome you on board as the new Associate Director of Marketing Sales here at the Westwood Company.
Thank you so much. This means the world to me. I know an opportunity like this, it doesn't come up every day.
That is the gospel truth, Belinda. I'm so excited for you. Here are a few things we need to get down today so we can begin processing you.
Okay.
Let me know if you have any questions.
Wow, this is amazing.
Just put your initials on the last 2 sheets.
Okay.
There's just one matter left for us to discuss, Belinda.
Okay, what's that?
Well, there's no delicate way to say it.
I'm sorry, say what?
Your hair.
My hair? What's wrong with my hair?
The feeling down the line of executives is that it will symbolize radicalism in the minds of many of our clientele. The foundation of the Westwood Company is extremely traditional and conservative. Next year marks our 103rd year in business.
Back up, Ms. Goldberg. So what you're saying is, all of my test scores were off the chain, and my resume, skill set, and experience were all more impressive than any of the other candidates you found for this position.
By far, you are a godsend.
And last but not least, they loved me in all 4 of the interviews.
Belinda, it was all they could do to keep from putting you in a bear hug before leaving the room.
Right.
They didn't love you, Belinda. They adored you.
But they don't like my hair?
It definitely wouldn't be a fit in this professional atmosphere.
So what you're saying is they would prefer that I change my hair?
No, Belinda. That's not what I'm saying at all. For what they're offering you in salary, they wouldn't prefer that you wear your hair differently. They insist on it. Any more questions? So are we good, Belinda?
No, we are so not good, Ms. Goldberg.
Hey, man, You all right?
Man, do I look all right? Nah, man, I'm not okay, man. Just got shot, dog.
All right, look. Trauma Mike. Look, the nurse said you did get shot in the arm, but the second bullet grazed your forehead, man. So we think you're gonna live.
All right.
Now tell me what happened, man.
So I was standing outside in the area that me and you were in when you abandoned me and ran home.
Look, man, like I told you when we first got out there, I only had a few hours to walk, man. I told the wife if she let me go out, I would be home by midnight.
Let you? Like, permission? Boy, you whipped. A grown man with a curfew? Pathetic.
Look, man, a grown man with a family. You wouldn't know nothing about that. Man, tell me what happened.
All right. So my feet were killing me, right? So I stepped to the side of the street for a minute when I spotted this honey on her cell phone. So you know me, I creep up behind her and I start spitting mad game.
Hold on, man. Look, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
In the middle of the revolution, you stopped to get your Mac on?
Ain't no time out in this game, baby. You know what I'm saying, dog? Hey, you already know how I get down. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And then?
So then she gonna have the nerve to tell me that she wasn't out there for all that it was all about Black Lives Matter. So you know me, I follow her to the front of the protest line, right? But then we get to the front of the line and she starts shouting pigs at the police. And then she goes nose to nose with the commander, telling him how they're done and how the tables have turned. Man, I'll tell you what, the madder they got, the louder she got. I mean, they turned red in the face. You know what I'm saying? Getting the crowd in back of us all worked up.
Dude, it sounds like you accidentally hooked up with Angela Davis.
Bruh, you might as well say, man, that sister was yelling, screaming all kind of cuss words, man. The next thing you know, the crowd starts to move toward the police barrier. And then some punks on the sideline start throwing frozen water bottles, and rocks at us. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. Then they start throwing tear gas and pepper spray, swinging clubs, firing rubber bullets into the crowd. And then, out of nowhere, this cop that's on top of the roof starts shooting down into the crowd. Yeah. Bruh, ain't even gonna lie, man. For a minute, I thought I was back in Iraq.
Yeah, that's wild, man. You know, in the news, they said 8 people got shot tonight, but only 1 was hospitalized.
Yeah, that'd be me, homie. You know what I'm saying? Them honkies tried to take a player out the game. Permanent. Still here, though.
You know what's tripping me out, though?
What's that?
I never thought I'd see the same tanks that we use in the field running up on us in our own neighborhoods like they're declaring war on Black America. I'll tell you what, though.
Yeah.
All the movements before, that was just practice. This time it's for real. This time we won't stop until we get what we deserve.
Yeah, but you know what, though? This little bullet wound that I got right now, this is not what even hurts the most. Don't you know I did 2 tours in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan?
I remember.
Man, I was over there fighting for my life. Like I didn't come nowhere close to getting wounded over there, man. Over there, fighting for my country, like my life depended on it. And I ate up all the propaganda they fed me about the American way. There's no way that you can tell me on God's green earth that I would get back to my own hometown where I grew up at, where I would see armed troops treating me, my family, and my friends, neighbors, like we the enemy. Man, I looked into the eyes of that National Guardman tonight, and I thought to myself, hey, man, what's going on? Like, I'm one of you. And then I thought about your poem.
My poem?
Yeah, you know, about a little boy in Baltimore. Man, I looked into that soldier's eyes the night before I got shot, and I said to myself, now, here's a cat just like the white boys I went to battle with. Right. The same kind of guy I covered and who covered me under fire. Cliff. When I looked into his eyes tonight, I saw a comrade, a brother in arms. But when he looked at me, all he saw was just another nigger.
Things are peaceful now, and most of the crowd is gone. But just hours ago, this scene was chaotic. It's been 3 weeks to the day of the brutal police killing of Mr. George Floyd, and protesters still going strong in 380 cities across all 50 states in this country and 38 nations around the world. There has never been anything like this. The young people are bringing a fire in their eyes, refusing to tolerate the shackles society has used to limit the mobility of their ancestors. The older people we spoke with earlier stated that they are fed up, and this may be our last best hope to pursue any lasting change for Black people who have endured years of oppression, deprivation, and frustration. There is nothing I can add to that. This is Shakisha Rollings reporting, Channel 6 Action News.
You are not violent! What are you doing? I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
The other day, one of my well-meaning white friends approached me carefully with a comment. You know, I never see many African Americans when I go hang gliding or skydiving, or bungee jumping or downhill skiing. It kind of surprises me because I know many of you can afford it and so many are great athletes. Don't you crave that sense of adventure? Don't you long for the rush of risking it all? Don't you want to know what it feels like to live life on the edge fearlessly? Fearlessly? I just looked at him for a moment to gather my thought. Then I explained that Black people ain't never scared, bravest folk on earth, just cautious about volunteering for danger. He looked puzzled, so I broke it down. You would have to know what it's like to be walking through your father's neighborhood, suddenly becoming a target of hateful vigilantism because you're wearing a hoodie. See, you would have to grasp the tragedy of a 12-year-old playing with a toy gun, shot dead in the park without warning by cops. You'd have to understand searching for your keys on the stoop of your apartment building before being massacred by 41 rounds from the weapons of plainclothes legal thugs. You'd have to know the insanity of being stopped on a minor traffic violation before days later found hanging in a jail cell. You would have to know the horror of life being choked away, pleading for the ruthless blue assassins to just let you breathe. Moments before gasping your last breath. You'd have to know what it's like to go out for a morning jog and never return home. You'd have to know what it's like sleeping in your bed before, and suddenly struck by 8 rounds of gunfire from no-knock hitmen assigned to serve and protect. You'd have to know how it feels explaining to a 4-year-old how their father was shot dead on the front seat of the car right before their eyes. You would have to comprehend a boy being shot dead, then shamefully left to rot in the middle of the street for 4.5 hours? You would have to know the indignation of being shot by police 7 times in the back in front of your sons, paralyzed from the waist down, then handcuffed to your hospital bed in ICU? Trust me, Black people know all about adventure. Our every day is an adventure. Our every move, a risk. Being Black is living on the edge. Being Black is living on the edge. Being Black is living on the edge 24/7. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today for a farewell different than any other. You know, I always wondered, what does a preacher say to eulogize a person with no redeeming value? A person who has contributed absolutely nothing to humankind. That is the challenge I am faced today as we lay to rest a man with many names, but most commonly known as the infamous, notorious, despicable Jim Crow. I went beyond my own flesh and wrestled overnight on the question of what God would want me to say. Then the Lord came to me and gave me the simple answer in who He is. God is love, truth, compassion. Jim Crow is just the very opposite. The deplorable existence lying before you today was a serial rapist, a pathological liar, a two-faced cheat, a dastardly child abuser, an incestuous derelict parent, a terrorist, anti-Semite. Did I mention a pathological liar? Yes, I did. In truth, that is all I can say about this monster. Now, did he do anything right? Only accidentally. He united people of all races, religions, nationalities, political preferences, and income brackets for you to recognize. To fight his scourge on a world capable of so much better, creating a common enemy for us to bond together to ensure his demise. So, that brings us here today. Will we only mourn for those whose lives were made more unbearable or destroyed? This is a rare funeral service indeed, because Jim Crow has no friends or family here to mourn. Now, we usually call these occasions a celebration of life, but in this ordeal, this is an opportunity to rejoice in death long overdue. Now, as I close, I issue one critical caveat. While cowards that they are, they would not dare show their hideous, sniveling, grotesque faces here today. But we have no doubt that there are some sympathizing friends and distant relatives of Jim Crow here today. We issue one critical caveat. Your best bet is to stay wherever you are, because you will be met with a resistance like you have never faced in the past. If you even dare to show your ugly heads, we will smite you down and strike you with the vengeance of God in the Old Testament. So, brothers and sisters, the most fitting final thoughts. Second Corinthians 4th verse 8 through 9. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. Jim Crow, go to hell. Can I get an amen? Amen.
It was a daunting task from the beginning. We're talking about 6 plays, 40 people, virtually all strangers.
And it seemed to have fallen right in place despite the pandemic.
Every one of those playwrights, actors, directors worked probably 3 times as hard.
Rehearsing and auditioning virtually.
One of the things that we did in the beginning through Zoom is what I would call table work.
I made sure of that. Keeping our family safe is a priority.
Lots and lots of Zoom calls, FaceTimes, speakerphone calls while we're driving home from work or while we're dealing with the kids.
I believe that virtual auditioning is valuable.
We can keep it safe and pay homage to the time that we are in.
I'm still amazed that we did all the pivoting we needed to do.
It was exhausting.
6 plays.
A series of productions.
But so rewarding in the end.
7 days. 2 individuals fall in love over a course of 7 days.
Look, I didn't mean it like that.
No, I know what you meant. So what you're saying is what? We're married and you would forbid me from walking home at night and say it was for my protection, right?
No, I'll walk with you. 7 days a week, if that's what makes you happy. It gave you peace.
And if I wanted to walk alone?
How crazy would it be if 2 people got married in 7 days? That's unheard of.
You okay?
I shouldn't be doing this, Miss Davis.
It's extremely exciting. I'm glad that we were able to do this. I feel like with this time that we're in, theater is very important for OnyxFest to be still happening. It feels more important, especially with the time that we're in right now. It was essential for this to take place.
I didn't even know you 2 got a chance to talk.
You didn't know we talked? Miss Tina, you know we talked. Really?
Girl, you know I do my best to stay out of grown folk business.
If that's what you want to call it, okay.
The name of my play is A Bluesy Night. The play is about 2 people who meet in a bar in the midst of a rainstorm. They end up seeking up a conversation, both a man and a woman.
I put my shoes on 1 foot at a time.
I put my pants on 1 leg at a time, and I paint my face.
Through the midst of that conversation, they discuss things about gentrification, love, and just overall effect that you have on strangers.
Don't you think that's a little rude? Man trying to offer up some conversation. The least you can do is say hello. Damn.
I didn't ask for your conversation. Hell, when you walked through that door, you obviously seen me before I seen you. What was it you noticed, huh? Because you obviously didn't notice that I was over here writing and minding my own business.
I think it is just a reflection of the times.
That ain't no perception. That's the reality in a lot more people because of the company you work for.
But it is also relatable to people just because it is a love story underneath all of it.
On the Corner is about 3 prisoners on death row and about their last days.
What about you? What, you like being locked up or something?
Nah, man, I don't like being in here. But I mean, after 5 years, you get used to it.
5 years? I ain't gonna be here no 5 years.
Their thoughts, their fears, their history. It's a play about the backstory. That no matter what situation you're in, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, there's always a backstory. And even for someone who's in prison on death row, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are bad people, but they got into bad situations.
Hey, check yourself, G. You said you was 22, 23 when you jacked the other dude. Now you 45 and on the corner. What up with that?
They gave me 20 years for killing my homie, man. I went in, I was doing my time, trying to stay out of trouble. All I had to do was make it to 6 years with no trouble. Now I'm out, Holmes. I had 4.5 years done, man. I was going to school trying to get my GED, staying out of trouble, man. Doing my little job in the kitchen, staying away from these inmates so they don't set me back, Holmes.
You can be redeemed and then sometimes you can't, but we all have a backstory that's worth learning about.
Anniversary. It's a story of a man that is at a point in his relationship where he's not quite sure if he wants to do what's right in his relationship or if he wants to be selfish and just do what feels right.
Don't you think I'll be the first to know if I didn't had enough?
He's presented with a choice. Should he follow his heart or should he follow his loins?
So, what we toasted to?
I don't know. How about we toast to the unexpected?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
I don't think either of us saw this night coming.
Oh, strong hands.
This particular show has a lot of humor, but it also has a lot of suspense. It also explores a little bit of what happens when someone is hurt and how they'll reach back out and how that process of being hurt in a relationship can just make the ball get bigger and bigger and bigger if you don't stop and reevaluate life and what's really important.
It was like tonight or never. It's almost serendipitous.
You know what? That's crazy. Cause I was just telling Ned here that was serendipity.
Okay. So when you say that art does not have to be about activism, I absolutely agree. But mine does. I feed you defiance. The play is about African American mothers giving lessons to their black and brown sons. We actually have to teach them how to disobey, oppose, and defy a system that would otherwise be oppressive to them. 2020, I think, was the prime time for this piece. It's been thick. It's been tough, but I would say to any artist, our voice is necessary, no matter how heavy, no matter how sad, no matter how difficult. COVID or nothing else can we allow to steal that voice away. We are absolutely needed, and more so now than any other time, to tell our stories, to illuminate what's really happening in the world, and to get people over to a side of change. It had its opportunity here, which has been really beautiful.
Police do not respond the same to black people, especially black men. It's not just because some hate you, though some do. It's deeper than that. It's structural, institutional, deeply systemic, son. So you need this lesson fast. Be aware, but don't be afraid. Fear makes you lifeless. Let me overstate. Don't walk in fear. Some people think you are dangerous because you are a black man. It's idiotic. They believe their job is to save the world from you. Let me overstate. Save their children, their wives, especially their daughters. Especially their daughters. From you. The same system where rests policies and laws that they abide by don't see you as an equal, so traps are built just for you. We live in a society that has too many people in powerful seats playing God, that believe you are an animal and constantly recycles the methods of your death. Police like to think they are the chosen ones to help make America white again, and that mission gives them a sense of purpose, helps them to feel like they are somebody special, because the truth is, the ones that want to break us, they're already broken themselves. When I see a cop put his knee on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds until he dies, after hearing that man and the crowd shout that he couldn't breathe, or when the cops use a no-knock search warrant and kill an innocent woman by shooting her 5 times, or when I see a man on video shot by a cop, and that man, with the innocence of a child, turns and looks at that cop with the breath and strength he has left and asks, "Why did you shoot me?" My heart breaks for him and wants to keep you from ever having to use your last breaths for, "I can't breathe," or "Why did you shoot me?" or to call out for your mama. But the lessons on police for you, a black male, are all conflicting. You can be standing still. You don't have to be moving or running away. Just standing still can get you killed. On someone else's property, your own property, city property, the damn playground. And being too young is relative. Once their minds are made up, you can be doing the most ordinary, everyday things. Unpacking a U-Haul truck where you live. You could be pumping gas, buying chips from the corner store, walking down the street listening to music, driving kids to a baseball game, selling goods to feed your family. You can be holding your cell phone in your hand or standing in your grandparents' backyard. I can say don't hold your cell phone, but I can't stop there. Don't hold a prescription bottle or anything colored black or dark or light in the dark. I can say never change lanes without a turn signal. Sandra Bland. But I'd have to say never change lanes because all they have to do is say you didn't signal. Never make sudden movements. Never walk or run away from them. Never face them and stare or turn your back. Don't stand up or lay down or be on your knees with your hands raised. Breathe. Be calm. Speak light. Answer all questions, or don't breathe. Don't speak. Don't answer. It's all the same. Because of your origin. Your origin. You are their threat. And they wallow in that ignorance. So there are no proper steps to follow. There is no rule book to save you, and with them, there is no pleading your case. There is just you, a black man, at the right place, wrong place, any place, and them, a man in blue with the full force of systemic racism loaded in a black piece of steel, wanting you. So, I can't tell you exactly what to do when stopped. But I can give you 5 tips. Follow your gut. Swallow your pride. Think as clearly and as carefully as you can. Remember, they have the immediate power. And never, never let your rage show. This guarantees nothing, but it gives you what I hope
No te estoy criando para que mires a tus hermanos y veas un enemigo. I'm not raising you to look at your brothers and see an enemy. Don't get me wrong. If you gotta fight, fight when it's time. Where it's necessary to defend yourself or your family, you must not even blink. But know that there is a difference between that and a brother putting a target on another brother's back, shooting him dead over stuff that's so old it's hard to remember the what and the why, because he'd been taught wrong and have no idea how to look his brother in the eyes and see a reflection of himself. Mijo, nunca intentes lastimar a tu hermano. Sobre propiedad, sobre bloques, sobre women, sobre dinero. Never aim to hurt your brother. Over property, over blocks, over women, over money. No. Life is more precious than that. Su sangre es tu sangre. Su vida es importante. His blood is blood of your own. His life matters. And you all have mothers that don't need another funeral. Mijo, your temper, your pride, your ego, whatever gets at you, stirs in a moment of blindness. Learn to put it in check, because it only takes a second to make a choice you can never forget and have to pay for the rest of your life. A veces, tienes que dejar que el momento pase. Cuando estés enojado, todavía tienes que usar tu cabeza. Son, you have to learn to let a moment pass. When you're angry and your adrenaline's pumping, you still gotta use your head. Hi. We got a lot of unresolved trauma. And we're not gonna get to the other side by losing our men. Mijo, I don't ever wanna lose you to nobody's bullet. Nunca, nunca quiero perderte por una bala. Walk away. Be still. Sabes que hay una casa esperando los dos. Know that there's a home waiting for both of you. Remember something you want, something you need to stay alive for. When folks tell you to stand and fight and unload, that's when stakes get too high and voices get too loud. You breathe. Be still. Nunca dejes que el miedo de lo que la gente diga de ti te mate. Never let fear of what people will say about you get you killed or turn into a weapon of your own genocide.
Son, come here.
Son, I don't ever want you to get caught up in this phenomenon where folks want to capture everything on video. It's crazy. Movies made out of a live display of gladiator brutality is sick. People are losing their humanity, treating death like a sideshow, a spectacle. It's not some circus for folks to make profit, trading off tickets for hits. I teach you to live with empathy in your heart. No one should be laughing out loud about the pain and anguish of anyone clawing for life on camera. I can't with this. You have been taught since you were little. Life is precious. It has value. Always value it. you have to know when to separate yourself from the crowd. Anybody that will watch somebody's daughter get raped, somebody get shot, hit with the 2x4, or dragged in the middle of the street like it's a sport and not call for help is sick. And if you ever find yourself caught up in that madness, ask yourself, what's so funny? Who am I becoming? How is it cool to watch somebody else's pain? See, I ask myself daily, watching the news, how can we stand tall when we stand around waiting hungrily to consume a buffet of bodies? Son, last breaths are not meant to be some iPhone-generated YouTube broadcast voyeuristic demand of those who have nothing better to do. A burial and a funeral is long enough stretch of road for any family to have to walk while fighting to heal. They do not need to be reminded with video how popular it is for popular culture not to give a damn. You got me?
Like, I can tell you don't sweat the small stuff, but ain't nothing small when it comes to you, because you a black boy. And one day I claim that you will be a strong black man. And I know that what makes you who you are will often represent a threat in today's society. Overstand what is often built in the root of this system. The rules, the laws, the politics, the structure and the fabric of this place. Those are in place to keep you small, to break you, to move death closer to you than he should be. And you see what I build, oh honey, I build to keep you tall, to make you hungry for truth. Son, I am raising you so that you are empowered enough to disobey, oppose, resist, and defy the lies, the propaganda. You see, I love you to life. You will be a probiotic in an unhealthy system that is otherwise here to manipulate you into thinking that you are the disease. But I love you to life. Now, you're going to learn that some people never get enough power. And those people, you see, they don't want you to have any, and every man needs a little bit of power. So since you can't stay my baby forever, and I wouldn't want you to anyway, I am preparing you to sweat and to fight and to sweat some more, to not be buried alive. So come hungry to your mother's table, son, and I'm gonna feed you defiance.
First, let me say before all else, I love you. Like from the bottom of my feet to my crown, you nourish me. You are my son.
You are my son. When you came through me, a leader was born, a king. I knew you were a mountain from the moment you claimed your space. When your bottom was first slapped, the sound you made was more like a laugh than a cry. You looked around, eyes wide open, to see what you had just manifested.
For 9 months I had you, a bundle of light inside me just waiting to be born, and to you I surrender all. Everything I am that is good, and every piece of me that's ever been broken, it's all yours. 'Cause I'm all yours. I am here for you to lean into. I am here for you to learn from. I am here to protect you, help grow you, be part of your evolution, to give you food for life.
To prepare you for a mighty tall walk in this world.
And it don't come easy.
You gotta watch your step.
Step over the crack.
Keep stepping through the valley.
With your head up. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Six plays, 40 people. I tell each one of them, when you look in the mirror, you're looking at a miracle. Nobody's doing anything, and you guys came together and produced 6 plays. It's really an amazing testament.
The audiences really appreciate it. I think we sold out just about every show.
All of these things came together at the same time.
I'm ecstatic to report that the spirit that existed was incredible.
We were still able to put all those shows on outdoors.
We got that opportunity, for which we are very grateful.
To have the arts is to have the complete human being.
It appears that there's a lot more Black theater activity going on in Indianapolis.
So we thought, well, if this is the case, then there needs to be a playwriting festival for Black playwrights.
With OnyxFest,
in terms of providing a stage for Black playwrights,
patrons of Africana theater would be able to focus on a series of productions that they could depend on year after year after year.
They did a wonderful job, and they're all to be absolutely complimented.
And I admire the way they took on that challenge, and they act like they had been through this before, when we know no one who lived before 1918 has ever had this experience.
With all of the things coming together at the same time, it worked out really well.
Through the grace of the Lord, it happened.
We've already begun the call out for other playwrights to come forward.
Let's do it. Let's make OnyxFest powerful.
Anybody and everybody who understands the possibilities would be excited also.
OnyxFest 2020 is made possible through the support of Margot L. Eccles Arts and Culture Fund, a Central Indiana Community Foundation Fund, Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, and Morgan Stanley.